Hey everyone, Team Severson here, sending you another Tips Tuesday video. Today we're talking about just kind of real estate contracts, consumer law, and an interesting transaction I had that we'll kind of pull some bits and pieces from and talk about and kind of dissect that whole situation. But yeah, we'll just jump straight in.
Yeah, let's do it.
So we had a deal, had some clients who they were moving out of state. The state they were moving to, they found this really beautiful home. They went under contract, all was good. And while we're listing their home, we're still kind of getting things in the process. They're kind of doing an expedited transaction there in their state. And what we found was we weren't under contract in time for them to feel comfortable buying that house. So what ended up happening is those folks tried to pull out a contract, which in Colorado, no big deal. However, their state, the way they worded it to me was that consumer law protects and protected the seller in that situation. And so they tried to pull out, but the seller's threatened to sue for the earnest money, the value of the home. It just sounded really messy, really scary stuff. And so they ended up buying the home through and through. Their home, under contract, it's gonna sell here soon. Totally fine. But the people trying to buy their home tried to back out of contract, and the situation got kind of messy because immediately their mindset is, well, we tried to back out and we couldn't, so why should these people be able to?
Yeah.
And the difference was the law in the states. So in that state, consumer law protected the seller. Colorado, it protects the buyer. And
they kind of got double whammied against them, right?
They got double whammied. It felt like the worst scenario on both sides.
Doesn't get any worse than that.
So I totally sympathize. It could have been, that feels like the worst possible situation.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine what that would feel like. But thankfully, things worked out.
Got it done.
So yeah, I guess Shane, you've done a lot of real estate in Colorado. You've worked with a lot of buyers. Let's talk a little bit about this thing we're talking about, what we'll call consumer law today, how it protects the buyer in Colorado. Maybe share a little bit why that is and how you've seen that function and work.
Yeah, so I think just a little bit more definition again. I've not done real estate in other states.
Yep.
I'm from Denver, basically, been here my whole life. And so I've run our brokerage here in Colorado. Don't do a lot of real estate outside the state. But a lot of states do protect the seller. So if you get under contract in other states and you try to back out, they'll sue you or they'll keep your earnest money. You got $5,000, $10,000 earnest money, and they'll just keep your money, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Scary.
And so a lot of people here in Denver get kind of concerned about putting earnest money up and everything else. And yeah, it is 100% cited on the buyer. So our contracts completely protect the buyer. I've been doing this for almost 23 years. I've done 1,000+ transactions, and I've only kept one earnest money on the selling side, and I've never lost earnest money on the buy side.
Wow.
And so the way that works is you write a contract, you can get out tomorrow. No questions asked. You can do an inspection. I could say, I didn't realize that wall was blue. I'm going to back out because your wall's blue. You can back out, get all your earnest money. No questions asked.
Wow.
You get an appraisal. Your appraisal could come in $1 low, could come in whatever. Oh, nope, I want to back out. You get your earnest money back.
Wow.
So these contracts protect the buyer all the way through the transaction until the last couple days before closing.
Yep.
And I always say, you could be 4 days before closing. If you're a seller out there looking to sell in Colorado, keep in mind, they can back out 4 days before closing and really don't have to give much of a reason. You could have your lender write a letter saying my payment changed by $2 and so I'm backing out, and legally they can.
Wow.
So yeah, Colorado kind of stinks for the sellers and is really, really good for the buyers.
What's one thing you'd say if you're a seller? What's one thing to be careful about when you're looking at? There's a million things to look at when you're getting a contract.
Sure.
You get an offer, you're selling your home. What's one thing you want to look at? Obviously you're not as protected here in Denver if you're a seller. what's one thing you can do to kind of help yourself
Hedge
in those
that,
situations?
protect it. Yeah, I think the things that are non-tangible, that sellers that are watching this video, things that they wouldn't look for, they wouldn't think about, and that is seasonality of your agent. When you got a good agent, your agent's not wasting his time writing a bunch of contracts that he's going to back out.
Yep.
So, good agents are the number one thing I look for. Number two, the strength of your lender. How long have they been in the business? You're right, they're going to do the same thing. So I think strength of the realtor, strength of the agent, and then just how much the buyer wants the house. If the buyer really wants the house and they have a really strong agent, there's a strong percentage that's going to go through. I'll tell you this: in Colorado, in Denver right now, we have a 25% back out rate. 25%. So if you're a seller out of 4 contracts, one of those is going to back out.
Really?
I can tell you this: if you have a really strong agent and a really strong lender, and you got a buyer that really wants your house, I think your percentage goes up to 90-95% chance that it's going to close. So
wow.
Makes all the difference.
That's wild.
Yeah.
25% back out rate.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
Wow. I feel like we actually talked a little bit about that in the market update with Lon. Maybe we can break that down in another video, another week. But that's really all I got for today, unless you have anything you want to add. So.
No, I think we're good.
Cool. Well, thanks for watching. Hope you have a great Tuesday.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time.
All right. God bless.